Now to our main story coming out of Africa today. Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed was sworn in today for a new 5-year term as his government faces a host of challenges, including a months-long conflict in the northern region of Tigray. Ethiopia's government last week faced condemnation from the United Nations, United States, and several European nations after it expelled 7 UN officials it accused of supporting the Tigray forces who have been battling Ethiopian and allied forces. We're now joined by Dr. Awol Alo. He's an Africa expert and a senior lecturer of law at Kiel University. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Considering the complexity of the situation in Ethiopia with Tigray and an ongoing war for almost a year now, is it positive news that Ahmed is in for a second term?
Well, this is not his second term. This is his first official term. In 2018, when he was appointed as a prime minister, he succeeded the former prime minister who resigned after 3 years of public protest, basically calling for a more democratic system of government. So this is his first official term. But obviously, as you stated, the country is currently facing significant political, military, and humanitarian crisis. And the division within the country is so deep, the polarization is so extreme. And it's very difficult to see how Abiy Ahmed, with all the political complexity, with the election that excluded most of the opposition, would hope to steer Ethiopia through this very turbulent period.
Now, shouldn't he be held accountable for some of the human rights violations and for the situation in Tigray that all of us have been following in the last year?
Well, obviously, as the head of government that is responsible for taking key decisions, for taking the country to the war, for inviting, for example, the neighboring country of Eritrea that is accused of massive human rights abuses in the region. And of course, Abiy Ahmed's forces themselves have been accused of committing serious atrocity crimes such as war crimes and crimes against humanity. The United States government accused Ethiopia of committing ethnic cleansing in the western part of Tigray. So a whole range of atrocities have been committed, and obviously individuals need to be held accountable. Those at the highest level of government who are complicit in these atrocities should be held accountable. But at this stage, we don't know the facts in terms of who ordered these atrocities and who is complicit in these atrocities.
Do you think that he will be paying a price for this, a personal political price for this, once the conflict perhaps calms down a little bit, when it does?
Oh, absolutely. For the prime minister who has won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2019 to find himself in this position where he is internationally isolated, in fact, he has become an international pariah, this is a fall from grace for this prime minister. He has already paid significant political price. There's no question. His legitimacy was in question before. This current election did not solve that crisis of legitimacy that was hovering over his head. I think the point of today's huge celebration in a parliamentary democracy where inaugurations are actually not the norm suggests that he is very desperate to create the illusion that he is hugely supported by the Ethiopian public and by some of the African dignitaries that attended the formation of the government, because we can't really call it an inauguration. It's not a presidential system of government. So at a personal level, the political price that he has paid is significant, but obviously it was his decision really that has taken the country down this path of violence and destruction, where you have more than 900,000 people on the verge of famine in Tigray, around 5 million people needing humanitarian aid, and that aid is not getting into the region. Other regions are also facing significant crises.
We've seen fighting in Tigray for almost a year now. Do you see the end anywhere in the horizon, and how do you think the crisis could end for both sides?
It's really very difficult at this stage to see how the two sides would come together and solve the differences between them politically and through dialogue. There was a very good chance to solve this problem through dialogue early on. The problem did not start when the war started. It was an ongoing problem. In some ways, the ideological difference underpinning the two dates back decades. But now, once you have entered an armed conflict that is characterized by brutal atrocity crimes and significant polarization and hatred, incitement to genocidal violence by key government officials, it makes it very difficult in highly divided, highly polarized countries for these actors to come together. And it's important to note that the conflict is not simply between the central government and the Tigray regional government. You also have conflict in the Oromia regional states with the Oromo Liberation Army. This is the largest region in the country where the Prime Minister himself comes from. And the Benishangul Gumuz region, you have a conflict. So the country is essentially descending into violence. And the fear now is that there is significant risk of Ethiopia disintegrating, and this will have significant ramification for the entire Horn of Africa region, which is already volatile and highly unstable.
Very sad. Thank you very much for your insights and for joining us tonight, Dr. Awol Alo. Thank you very much.